Imagine a man living in a lavish mansion, surrounded by his loving family, driving a simple car, and greeting his neighbors with a friendly wave. He seems like just another successful businessman, right? But what if I told you this man was the mastermind behind some of Nigeria's most audacious and terrifying crimes? This is the story of Chukwudumeme Onwuamadike, better known as Evans, the billionaire kidnapper. His tale is a chilling journey into the mind of a criminal genius who built an empire on fear and extortion, all while hiding in plain sight. For years, a shadow of fear loomed over Nigeria's elite. Business moguls, importers, and wealthy individuals lived with a constant dread of a phantom kidnapper who seemed to know their every move. This was Evans's world. His operations were meticulously planned and executed with ruthless efficiency. He wasn't just a common criminal. He was a criminal strategist. His gang, armed and dangerous, would swoop in on their targets, often in broad daylight, pulling off daring kidnappings and brazen bank robberies across Lagos, Edo, and Anambra states. What set Evans apart was his business-like approach to crime. He treated kidnapping like a high-stakes corporate negotiation. After capturing his victims, he would hold them for months in hidden safe houses, subjecting them to unimaginable psychological torment. The ransoms he demanded were staggering, often reaching $1 million per victim. He would insist on payment in US dollars, a detail that highlighted his ambition and his understanding of global finance. For the families of his victims, it was a race against time, a desperate scramble to gather life-altering sums of money to save their loved ones from a man who showed no mercy. The longer they took, the higher the price of freedom became. To understand the genius of Evans's deception, you have to look at his life in Magodo Phase 2, a quiet, upscale estate in Lagos. This was his sanctuary, his fortress of anonymity. Here, he wasn't a feared crime lord. He was Mr. Onwuamadike, a doting father and a seemingly ordinary resident. He lived in a grand mansion, but his lifestyle was deliberately understated. He drove himself, no flashy convoy, no private security. He blended in so perfectly that his neighbors had no clue they were living next to Nigeria's most wanted man. They saw a quiet, unassuming family man who paid his dues and kept to himself. This was his greatest trick, hiding his monstrous reality behind a mask of absolute normalcy. This dual life allowed him to operate for years, building his criminal empire while his neighbors remained blissfully unaware. While Evans enjoyed his deceptive domestic life, the Nigerian police force was engaged in a relentless manhunt. He was at the very top of the most wanted list in at least 3 states: Lagos, Edo, and Anambra. Yet, for 4 long years, he remained a ghost. He was always one step ahead, earning him the nickname the Smart One among law enforcement circles. His ability to evade capture was legendary. He used multiple identities, burner phones, and a network of informants to stay off the grid. He seemed untouchable, a phantom who could strike at will and vanish without a trace. This long and frustrating chase only added to his mythos, making him seem more like a character from a crime thriller than a real-life criminal. The pressure on the police was immense, and the public was losing faith. They needed a breakthrough, and they needed it fast. That breakthrough came in the form of a specialized police unit, the Inspector General of Police's Intelligence Response Team, led by the celebrated super cop, Abba Kyari. After one of Evans's victims, a pharmacist named Donacious Dinu, managed a daring escape from a safe house, he provided the police with critical intelligence. This was the opening they needed. Using advanced tracking technology and good old-fashioned detective work, Kyari's team began to close the net around Evans. They traced his movements, identified his hideouts, and finally, pinpointed his location to the unassuming mansion in Magodo. On June 10, 2017, the quiet tranquility of the Magodo estate was shattered. Residents were startled by the sight of heavily armed police officers swarming the area, their vehicles blocking off Fred Showboyd Street. The atmosphere was electric with tension. For the officers, this was the culmination of a years-long, high-stakes manhunt. They surrounded the mansion, a fortress that had hidden a monster. The raid was swift and dramatic. The police breached the compound, and after a tense confrontation, they had their man. Evans, the untouchable phantom, was finally in handcuffs. The sound of jubilant gunshots fired into the air by the triumphant police officers echoed through the estate, announcing to the world that the reign of the billionaire kidnapper was over. The man who had terrorized a nation was paraded before the cameras, his face a mixture of shock and defeat. The arrest was just the beginning of the final chapter. Evans's trial became a national spectacle, a legal drama that gripped the country. He was arraigned on a litany of charges, including conspiracy to kidnap, kidnapping, and the unlawful possession of firearms. The courtroom became a stage where the full, horrifying extent of his crimes was laid bare. Victims, one after another, bravely took the stand to recount their harrowing experiences. They spoke of being chained, blindfolded, and threatened for months on end. Donacious Dinu, the man whose escape led to the arrest, gave a powerful testimony, detailing his ordeal and his desperate bid for freedom. Initially, Evans pleaded guilty to the charges, perhaps hoping for a lighter sentence. But in a dramatic turn, he later changed his plea to not guilty, claiming he was forced to confess under duress. This set the stage for a long and complex trial that lasted for years. His lawyers employed various legal tactics to delay the proceedings, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. The prosecution presented a mountain of proof, including confessions, witness testimonies, and evidence gathered from his properties. The wheels of justice, though slow, were grinding surely. Finally, in February 2022, nearly 5 years after his arrest, justice was served. The judge, Hakeem Ashadi, delivered the verdict. Evans and 2 of his accomplices were found guilty of conspiracy and the kidnapping of Donatus Dinu. The sentence was unequivocal: life imprisonment. The gavel fell, and with it, the final curtain on the saga of the billionaire kidnapper. The man who had built a fortune on the misery of others would spend the rest of his days behind bars. A stark reminder that no matter how smart or elusive a criminal, maybe the law will eventually catch up. The story of Evans is more than just a true crime tale. It's a cautionary lesson about the dual nature of man and the darkness that can hide behind a veneer of normalcy. It's a story of terror and resilience, of a criminal mastermind's rise and a dedicated police force's relentless pursuit of justice. The fall of the billionaire kidnapper marked the end of an era of fear for many and restored a measure of faith in the justice system. His empire of terror, built on ransoms and fear, ultimately crumbled into a life sentence in a prison cell. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world's most compelling stories. See you in the next video.